Hello everyone. So how can we identify the amines? 1 degree, 2 degree and 3 degree amines. 1 degree simply means the primary amine, 2 degree is the secondary amine and 3 degree is the tertiary amine. So how we can identify all these degrees in the amines? So first of all we should know amines is a compound which definitely contain the nitrogen. So the role of nitrogen is very important in determining its degree, 1 degree, 3 degree and 2 degree. So for the 1 degree, 1 degree amine are those in which the nitrogen is attached to only one carbon atom. In those amines, nitrogen is only attached to the one carbon atom. So that species would be known as 1 degree amines. Okay. So let's see the example here. For the 1 degree amine, let us suppose RNH2 is the general form. Okay, this is the 1 degree amine. It is the general form of the 1 degree amine, that is the primary amine. You can clearly see that in this nitrogen, in this amines, in this kind of amines, the nitrogen over here is attached to only and only one carbon atom. And what is this R? This is the alkyl group. It can be this, it can be like this. Aromatic could be there. Aromatic NH2. In this case also, the nitrogen atom over here is directly attached to the aromatic ring. Okay, one carbon of the aromatic ring. So it would be also your 1 degree in nature. Okay, this is the general form. So now let us take an example like CH3NH2. Okay, and like C2H5 and like C2H5 and NH2. Over here you can see that nitrogen in this is directly attached to only one carbon atom. Okay, so it would be termed as primary amine, and in this is your ethyl group. In this, nitrogen is attached to only and only one carbon atom. We have to see the direct contact of the nitrogen with the carbon. So for your clarification, further clarification, I can write it as CH3CH2. You all know that this is your ethyl group. Okay, we have to write we have written the compact form like C2H5 of this. Now elaborated form of ethyl is this CH3CH2 and the NH2. So directly we can see here the nitrogen atom is directly attached to one carbon atom. So it would be also 1 degree amine. Okay, so for next 2 degree amine, 2 degree is the secondary amine and 1 degree is the primary amine. Okay, and 3 degree is the tertiary amine. Okay, now for the 2 degree, that is the secondary, what it says, the nitrogen is attached to 2 carbons. That species would be termed as secondary amine. So let us take an example of this. Now here the general form is R, NH and R. It can be aromatic. In the place of alkyl you can write aromatic as well. That would be correct also. So the examples are like this, like CH3 and NH and CH3. Okay, now you can see here nitrogen is attached to 2 carbons, directly immediate contact with the 2 carbons. So it is the 2 degree, that's why it is the 2 degree amine. So now these alkyl group can be same, these alkyl group can be different, like this. Here, over here, it was 2 methyl group. It can be mixed as well as CH3, and now let us suppose nitrogen is attached to CH3 group and your C2H5. These are 2 different groups which are attached to the nitrogen. Now what is the degree over here? So again nitrogen is attached to 1 carbon here and 1 carbon here, direct contact with the 2 carbons, so that's why its degree is 2 degree. So we can also see that in the 2 degree it can be simple. These are the simple amines in which the alkyl group, 2 alkyl groups are same, and these are the mixed amines in which the 2 alkyl groups are of different species. Okay, so this was the 2 degree amines. So now we have to see the 3 degree amine. It says in this nitrogen is attached to 3 carbons. Okay, so let us take the example. It is like, its general formula is like this: nitrogen is attached to 2 carbons. It can be alkyl, it can be aromatic as well. Okay, so the example can be like CH3, nitrogen, and your C2H5, and your again CH3. Now in this case you can also see here the nitrogen is attached to 1, 2 and 3 carbons, so that's why it is 3 degree amine. So let's do more example for the clarification. So now here you can see this molecule. This is very important molecule because its very important name is aniline. Aniline is your nitrogen containing aromatic compound, and if we talk about its degree, so we have to look upon the nitrogen over here. Nitrogen is directly attached to one carbon of the aromatic ring. You know, here is the carbon as well. Okay, so nitrogen is attached to only one carbon atom, so its degree is 1 degree. It is your 1 degree amine. That means you have seen that aniline is your 1 degree amine. So in this case nitrogen is attached to one carbon. Okay, and if you have any doubt, now C2H5 can be written as CH3 CH2. This is your ethyl group which was in the compact form. Now this is the elaborated form of this molecule. Now over here nitrogen is attached to only one carbon atom, so its degree would be 1 degree. Now in this case nitrogen is attached to 1, 2 and 3 carbon atom, so its degree would be 3 degree. Now you can see over here nitrogen is attached to one carbon of the benzene ring and one carbon of the ethyl and one carbon of the methyl, so that's why its degree is 3 degree. Okay, now in this case in the nitrogen here, nitrogen is attached to the one carbon here and one carbon of the benzene ring, so total nitrogen is attached to 2 carbons, so its degree is 2 degree, so it is your 2 degree amines. And in this case nitrogen is attached to 1, 2 and 3 carbons, so its degree would be 3 degree. Like I said, nitrogen can be attached to the alkyl as well as the aromatic ring. Okay, so nitrogen over here is attached to only one carbon atom, so its degree would be 1 degree. So what is C6? You have to learn that C6H5 is your phenyl ring like this. It is nothing but the aniline. It's the compact formula of the aniline. It is the same as the first compound, so this is your aniline. Okay, and its degree would be 1 degree. Now for the next, nitrogen and CH3 whole thrice. This is basically the compact formula. If you have to draw it, if you have to elaborate it, it would be like this. Nitrogen is attached to CH3, that means nitrogen is attached to 3 methyl group, which we have written in the compact form for the easiness of our writing. Okay, now in this case you can clearly see that nitrogen is attached to 1, 2 and 3 carbons, so here nitrogen is having the degree 3 degree, so its degree is 3 degree. And in this case, another case is this. In this, nitrogen is attached to how many carbons? 1 is the methyl. You can easily write down in the elaborated form. Nitrogen is attached to 1 methyl CH3. Nitrogen is attached to C2H5, 2 C2H5, basically C2H5. Now you can clearly see that nitrogen is attached to 1, 2, 3 carbons, so its degree would be 3 degree. Okay, and it would be mixed amines. Now in another case, it is C2H5 here, nitrogen. If I would elaborate this form, it would be like C2H5. There are 2 C2H5 which are directly attached to the nitrogen, and here the nitrogen, you can see nitrogen is attached to 2 carbons immediately, so its degree would be 2 degree. Okay, now last thing is nitrogen over here is attached to 3 C6H5. You know very well C6H5 nothing but the phenyl rings. So basically it is the same molecule that we have discussed earlier. Like this, 3 rings would be attached to the nitrogen and it would be of 3 degree. It is the same example that we have talked about earlier as well.